It's showtime.
Ah, I bid you welcome. I shall be your game master for this tale. It is a pleasure to have you. Now then, just like this, I will be using cards to draw you into the world of this story. From time to time, you may be presented with choices like this. Incorrect. It doesn't mean anything, but still. You're following along with all this, I trust? Moving on, I believe your experience of the story will be shaped in no small part by my narration. As such, I hope you'll have rather more fun keeping the sound on while you play. That said, rest assured that the game remains enjoyable without sound. My words will be subtitled just as they are now. With the formalities sorted, we're all ready to begin the game. My. Yeah, you can hear the sound of the waves. Oh, how very evocative. Now then, let's begin our tale. Allow me to welcome you to the world of Voice of Cards. You're about to step into the shoes of the hero of this tale as he sets forth on a grand adventure. Said adventure takes place in a remote part of the sea, in which ancient traditions are alive and well. You will touch the hearts of many who dwell in this place as you journey to change fate's promise of untold ruin. I believe in you. I believe your journey will be a success. And on that note, it is time for that journey to begin. May the waves see you safely across the tides. Our story begins in a secluded grotto. The sound of the waves echoes softly across the rock walls. A solitary young man stands in front of a ship floating in the water. Brush in hand, he busies himself painting the vessel. Once he finishes his work, he decides to carve his name into the side of the hull. A finishing touch. You carve your name in small lettering into the ship. Oh, a handsome name, that. This young lad is the hero of our tale, and your window into the world. You're a navigator without a ship, and your soul yearns to set out upon the ocean blue, for your own reasons. You have spent a great deal of time repairing the wrecked ship before you, in the hopes of crafting a partner, aboard which you might sail the high seas. The sound of a wooden box tumbling to the ground rips through the grotto. You heave a deep sigh and decide to head over to the source of the racket. The source of the noise turns out to be a young girl. It looks as though she has knocked over a wooden box, packed with shipbuilding supplies, and is in quite a panic about it. The girl's name is Laddie. You came across her some time ago, collapsed on a beach. You attempted to bring her to a nearby village, but she was quite opposed to the idea for some reason. As such, she has been helping you repair the ship here. You're not quite sure how to respond to her knocking the box over. It's okay, you say in a gentle, reassuring tone. Laddie's worried expression melts away, replaced by one of relief. You move to leave the grotto, saying, "I'm going to the village to get some food." Laddie waves goodbye, her forlorn smile seeing you off. The young woman has lost her ability to speak. Neither of you have any knowledge of how she ended up in her situation, and you spend many quiet hours together in the grotto. The scent of the sea and a sense of isolation hang heavy in the air. The island is bound for ruin and has had its name since before any can really recall. This is Omega Isle. You take a deep breath and then set out for the nearby Omega village, which shares the island's name. An old spire stands tall before you. Alas, there's little reason to go poking around within. You have arrived near the entrance of the village. You spy a shadow skulking about in the midst of a thicket. The shadows fall away to reveal a small monster. It's unusual to see one this close to the village. It might be cute, but it's still a monster and a threat. You must slay the beast before it can cause trouble or worse in the village. Don't hold back. Beyond the pier, the ocean sprawls out in all directions, beckoning you to adventure. Gorgeous flower beds burst with blossoms that will one day wilt and wither away, much like Omega Village itself. This is a village that has accepted its fate to be but a moment in time, destined to fade. An island in want of a maiden shall fall, he mutters, to no one in particular. This might be the last time I see this flower bed, the boy says, gazing forlornly at the flowers. I wish I got to be the maiden, the girl says mournfully, dressed head to toe in maiden garb and clearly pretending to be such. A lone woman diligently cleans the grounds of the maiden shrine. You stop in at the mayor's house and discover that he already has a guest. The two are engaged in discussion. You listen in and learn that they are troubled by monsters that have appeared near the village and have been devouring precious stores of food. The villager sighs deeply. I suppose it's about the end for the village, they say flatly before departing the mayor's home. The man left standing in the room has a certain sagacity about him. He notices you waiting and inclines his head in greeting. His name is Grief. As the village's mayor, he spends his days dealing with all manner of happenings around town. He looks to be at a loss over the damage being caused by the monsters. It would likely be a simple matter for you to deal with the beasts. You offer to deal with the monsters, and Grief replies with his thanks. You're always a big help. This is part of your daily routine. You work to sort out the village's troubles in order to procure food to eat. A monster has appeared before you. It holds what's left of a piece of fruit in its teeth, and its mouth moves restlessly. With a sigh, you mutter, "Let's get this over with then," and ready your weapon. Magnificent. Good work. With practiced skill, you swing your weapon. The blade flashes through the monster's throat. Merciless. Perfect aim. It would appear that you are quite accustomed to killing. You wipe the blood off your weapon. As you do, you notice a shadow in the distance. Another monster, perhaps? You take the weapon on your back and aim it carefully before hurling it at the shadow with great force. It flies toward your target, tracing a perfect parabola. However, the tip of the spear strikes just slightly to the side of the shadow, which runs off. Whatever the shadow was, it was taken aback by your unexpected assault. It looks like it ran off in the direction of the spire near the village.
Gems are like MP.
Show 'em what you got. Magnificent. You stand before the Spirit Spire, said to have been erected to protect the island. Yet with the villagers having accepted ruination, it now stands forlorn, an edifice without a purpose. This place, so named for the spirits themselves, is one that the villagers do not enter. Despite this, you say to yourself, I have to get rid of the monster, and decide to profane the place with your presence. There are some words etched into the door, but they are weathered and difficult to read. Worried though you are about whatever the words might say, you nonetheless try pushing the handle. With some protest, the door groans open. You spy the shadow of the monster you encountered earlier. Your insight that it had taken refuge in the spire has proven a good one. The shadow notices your presence and flies off at blinding speed. You can't help but admire the rapid escape, though it looks like you're back to chasing after a shadow. You survey your surroundings, relying on the shafts of sunlight filtering in through the windows. However, you're unable to see the monster from where you are. In the back of the large hall, there is an altar, which evinces a sense of deep mystery. The altar is wrought of a strange kind of stone, its surface polished smooth. It looks as though it's meant for use in some important ritual. You approach the altar to check that there are no places for monsters to hide themselves away inside it. In reply to the mysterious and unidentifiable voice that suddenly rent the silence, you ask in a sharp tone, "Who's there?" You strain your ears, trying to make out the broken snippets of words echoing off the chamber walls. After speaking a word that rings familiar to your ears, "Laddie," the voice becomes impossible to hear. It cannot be. Could you truly have heard the voice of the spirit from the Maiden's myth passed down on the island? All signs of the monster you were in pursuit of seem to have vanished. For the time being, you decide to return to the village and report your success. When you arrive at the mayor's house, there is a young visitor already there. She looks to be making an impassioned request of Grieth. In a wearied voice, Grieth replies, "There is no longer any maiden in our village." Admonished, the girl leaves the house with disappointment written across her expression. You inform the mayor that you've taken care of the monsters around town. As thanks for completing the job, the mayor hands you a basket of fruit. Oh, good, you think to yourself. Another day, another basket of fruit. You re-enter the grotto and announce your return. On a normal day, Laddie would already have zipped over to greet you. But today, nothing. You walk over to Laddie and discover that she is sound asleep. Life in the grotto is not one of creature comforts. Rather, a fair few inconveniences. You sometimes catch glimpses of her face while she sleeps. Always it is contorted in anguish, as though she is in the throes of a terrible nightmare. You notice a bulky book lying open next to Laddie, filled with carefully drawn words and images. It seems to be some kind of picture book that Laddie made herself. You know, I confess, I am a bit curious. Unable to overcome your curiosity, you decide to take a look at the picture book. Beside evocative images of deep forests and towering mountain ranges, Laddie has written a story patterned after the Maiden's myth. The picture book story is set in a small village replete with nature. The village enjoys the promise of peace and tranquility, thanks to the young woman born to be the Maiden. The Maiden goes before the altar to perform a ritual, which invokes the power of a great spirit to protect the village. You look over the artwork, a spitting recreation of the altar you saw in the spire, and think back on the mysterious voice. The voice claimed it was a spirit, and you're certain it spoke Laddie's name. You are so caught up in the thoughts racing through your head that you fail to notice Laddie had awakened. Laddie seems embarrassed that you've seen her book. Tears prick the corners of her eyes. If Laddie were indeed the Maiden, it would be no exaggeration to call her the very light of hope, a protective force that could save the island from its encroaching ruin. With faint expectation tightening your chest, you consider taking her to the altar in the spire. You've given Laddie some of the fruit you brought back. She dreamily stuffs some of it into her mouth. Maybe she likes it. You hope so. Your stomach rumbles as you watch her, and together, the two of you enjoy a light meal. Magnificent. You come across an open-air stall. A sign reads, "Huge sale." As you peer into the stall, a merchant whirls around to greet you. He explains that everything is on sale, and he hopes you'll buy something. It seems he'll get in trouble with his boss if he brings back any goods unsold. The peddler is closing up the stall to head back to his boss. "See you another time," he says. "You cannot shop here anymore." Congrats. You take Laddie with you and return to the spire. As you approach the entrance of the spire, the staff that Laddie clutches close begins to emit a faint light. Seeing the mysterious light, you are convinced Laddie has a deep connection to the spire. Her expression uneasy, Laddie takes hold of your sleeve with a tentative touch. You stand before the altar once more, bathed in an air of mysticism. The light emitting from Laddie's staff intensifies, as if indicating its destination. In response to the enigmatic voice, Laddie's staff exudes a dazzling light. A spirit appears right before your eyes. Well, maybe it's a spirit? It's some kind of strange stuffed animal. The stuffed toy seems to be affecting a voice of considerable gravitas and choking itself in the process. This creature is called Lack. Though you cannot be certain it speaks the truth, it claims to be a spirit. You approach, hoping to ask about the Maiden, but with blinding speed, Lack zooms behind Laddie, putting her between you as a shield. You're the one from before, Lack says, quaking. It would appear that you're mistaking the creature for a monster, and doggedly chasing after it has made it rather afraid of you. You hold out an offer of reconciliation, and Lack takes it and immediately starts munching away. Between bites, it says, "You've got some good taste there." You're not really sure if the make good worked out, but in any event, Lack looks willing to listen to you now. You ask about the Maiden once more, and Lack begins to talk a lot. It seems to enjoy doing so. Just as the Maiden's myth handed down amongst the denizens of the island suggests, it explains, Laddie was indeed born to be the Maiden here. However, she was unable to take up her role. This has caused no small amount of distress over the island's inevitable destiny to sink beneath the raging waves. Lack concludes with a proposal. How's about you go and meet with the other maidens and fetch the Maiden's relics? As you had hoped, Laddie appears to be the key to the island's salvation. This island is not the only one home to a spirit. There are islands throughout this archipelago, and and upon each dwells one of the 4 maidens who govern their own spirit. The self-proclaimed spirit explains that if you bring the maiden's relics that each of these maidens possess back to this spire, Laddie will be able to become a maiden herself. Laddie shows the staff in her hand, wearing an expression that seems to say, "This is a maiden's relic." You ask, should we kill the maidens and steal the relics? Laddie shakes her head rapidly, as if to insist that you definitely should not do that. As Lack explains, each maiden has an attendant, an escort, and protector. This would make it difficult to take the relics by brute force. If Laddie becomes a maiden and performs the maiden's ritual at the altar, the island can be saved. The world-changing immensity of what you have just learned echoes in your mind. It takes you a little while to fully digest it. But it does just so happen you've been readying a seaworthy vessel for your own purposes. You accept Lack's proposal to help Laddie become a maiden. So, you want me to poof you back to the entrance? You decide to make for the spire's exit. Accompanied by your new allies, you make to enter the village. But Laddie seems to find something about this idea disagreeable and clings to a tree nearby, refusing to budge. "Oh, I got this one," says Lack, evidently with some kind of plan in mind. The fluffy creature begins to chant a sort of mysterious spell. Suddenly, Laddie's face is transformed into that of an odd old man's. Laddie touches her transformed visage and then gives a thumbs up, perhaps as if to say, "Good job." You are a god. But Laddie looks sideways at you as she walks into the village, her identity now safely hidden. This is your home. A desk pushed up near the wall is adorned with an unfurled map and a scattering of books. The navigation map is of your own design and depicts the various islands in this region of the sea. It contains information on the maidens of those nearby islands, culled meticulously from books and the tales of passing travelers. Before all of this, you had found yourself unable to merely sit and watch the village's decline, and so planned a voyage to seek aid from the maidens of the other islands. After popping into the back room, you emerge with a carefully polished ship's wheel and present it to your companions. It is the final piece of the ship you restored at the grotto. With it, you will finally be able to set sail on the voyage you have dreamed of for so long. You have made ready for the voyage, but before you set sail, you decide to stop in at the mayor's to say your farewells. Grieth's eyes fall over the unfamiliar face behind you. And who do we have here? You respond, a traveler, weary from a long journey. Grieth looks upon her with sympathy. Changing the subject, you explain to the mayor that you'll be leaving the village for a little while on a voyage to save the island. You felt sure that the mayor, with his love of the village, would see you off with a smile. And yet the moment you explain that you found a maiden who can save the island, his attitude changes like the fickle sea winds, and he voices opposition to your journey. This island is destined to meet its end, he says. You can practically sense him digging his feet in. You cannot fathom why he, the mayor of the village, would believe something like that. Though each of you hold the island in your hearts, you cannot reconcile the difference of opinion. Like lovers going their separate ways after an acrimonious spat, it looks as though you will be setting out on bad terms. You believe that your desire to save the island will prove to be the right perspective. How may I help you? The proprietor inquires. Will that be all? The proprietor asks. A bizarre rock appeared. It seems primed to explode. The bizarre rock transformed into an aqua rock. The only way out of this fight is through it.
Common sense.
fight him off. Magnificent. Magnificent. Congrats. From out of nowhere, a sweet fragrance wafts over you. You look up to see ripe fruit in the tree above. There's a reasonably sized stone at your feet. A precise pitch at the tree's bough could knock some fruit loose. You take the stone in hand and wind up. Your pitch strikes true, releasing a hail of fruit. You divide up and enjoy the spoils. You come across an open-air stall. A sign reads, "Goods bought here." As you peer into the stall, its proprietress calls out to you. This is an exchange shop. We'll pay good money for whatever you have. But this determines the price, she continues, revealing the die in her hand. It seems she's finished buying for the day. The proprietress begins closing up shop, and you go on your way. Your ship, your trusted companion, once a mere wrecked husk that you labored to bring back to life with months of sweat and toil. You climb up to the stern, and with every bit of care you can muster, you attach the wheel. The final stroke upon the canvas. At last, your ship is finished. The vessel's design is patterned after a great whale. There are a number of mismatched parts, but that particular quirk only makes you love it all the more. As you look over your handiwork, you realize that your companion on this upcoming journey will need a name. What would a fitting name be, you ponder? Laddie tears a page from her book and then scribbles a name down on it. In her small handwriting is written, The Bon Vent. According to Lag, the words are a kind of prayer in the language of the spirits for safe passage when bidding one farewell on a long journey. A farewell said before long journeys. The words could make a fitting appellation for your ship. You're unsure of just how much you ought to trust Lack, or his skill with words, but nonetheless, decide to go with Laddie's suggestion. Together, you load up the Bon Vent with the necessary provisions. Preparations for your departure are now finished. You throw your hands upon the ship's wheel and shout, "Weigh anchor!" with gusto. Your voyage has begun. Though your ship had long since forgotten the taste of seawater, it nonetheless cuts through the waves like a fillet knife through fresh fish. It is your first sea voyage. Laddie's eyes glitter as she looks out at the horizon, stretching ever onward over the endless blue expanse. She opens up your homemade navigation map, checking the locations of the islands where the other maidens live. On the island to the south of here lives a beauteous maiden garbed in azure robes, as though the sky itself is wrapped around her. After closing up the map, you grasp the wheel like a familiar old friend and tell the ship where you'd like to go. You now have free rein to sail across the sea as you see fit. New tales await you when you put into port on an island where a maiden dwells. And fight. Ahoy, matey. It's like you can... swirls are a common occurrence in this area of the sea. It doesn't seem like your ship is capable of crossing them. I don't know what it is, but there's just something so relaxing about this. And fight. You discover a shipwreck. You climb aboard and begin searching for anything useful. When you return to your vessel, the shipwreck sinks silently into the sea. Laddie eagerly eyes the fishing rod on the boat. Up for some fishing, you ask? Laddie gives a hesitant nod. Except, it turns out she's never fished before. You show her how to hold the rod, and she casts the line into the water. Almost instantly, the rod begins to bend. You'd better tell her when to pull up. The rod bends and fits and starts. You're sure she's got something on the line. Laddie rips the line out of the water at your insistence, exposing a bare hook. Damn. You pat her back reassuringly. Sometimes that's just how it goes. Ah, the great open sea. Huzzah! What an adventure! And fight. Show 'em what you got. A large chest floats in the water before you, no more than an arm's length away. You take hold of the chest and pull it forward. When you do, the lid springs open and a monster leaps out, enraged that you have disturbed its slumber. Magnificent. You did great. After vanquishing the beast, you peer inside the chest. You grin, realizing that your find may be able to aid you on your journey. Nope, stop. Don't hold back. You discover a shipwreck. You climb aboard and begin searching for anything useful. When you return to your vessel, the shipwreck sinks silently into the sea. Fight him off. You spot something blown into the sky from a whale's spout. It looks like it might fall this way, but it's hard to make out with the sun behind it. You hurriedly draw your sword and strike the falling object. It turns out, it was a monster. The blow you struck has it disoriented. It immediately dives back into the sea and swims away, leaving behind a scattering of coins. Fight him off. Fight him off. Magnificent. Hope you win. You cross the sea and arrive at the South Aisle. On the South Aisle, you will hear the tale of a maiden in blue. Very well then, prepare to go ashore. Bright rays of sunlight beam down onto the warm South Aisle. Something about the place reminds you of the refreshing cool of the ocean. After weighing anchor and docking your ship at the pier, you go ashore. Utterly exhausted from hours at the helm, you stretch your legs for a moment, then open up your map. Once you have your heading, you and the others make for the village of Coveton in the south. Okay, now let's go. The merchant says they're having a fire sale. Everything must go. The merchant says it's time to move on and begins closing up his stall. You cannot shop here anymore. You did great. This must be a stela of the Isle's guardian spirit. You spy a parcel on the roadside. As you pick it up, you are enveloped in a wonderful aroma. Inspecting the parcel, you read its intended destination was Coveton. You know not its contents, but will you complete its delivery? You decide to deliver it on your way and tuck the parcel into your bag. A monster appears. Its nose is twitching as it sniffs the air. The aroma from the parcel you're carrying must have drawn it near. You'll have no choice but to fight it off. Don't hold back. You should deliver the parcel to Coveton before it draws any other monsters. And fight. And fight. Fortune favors the bold. Okay, hold up. You have to return to your ship if you want to head out to sea.
Alright, well it's about that time again guys. I'm going to cut the stream for now, but I'll be back either later today or tomorrow. Don't forget to hit that follow or subscribe button if you haven't already. I also have a Discord, Twitch, Twitter and YouTube. By the time you hear this, the links to them will be already posted in the chat. With that, I hope you all will take care and stay safe, and I'll see you guys next time.